Hey guys. So this video is kind of gonna be off of the video that I posted on my Instagram story recently about Pluto going um, out of retrograde, moving through its shadow period to be direct, and how possibly right now there could be a lot coming up for you um, in the past however many months. We've really been asked to really dive deep into what we're doing that's holding us back, what patterns that we're continuing that are just an old story that need to go. They're not actually moving us forward. And that goes with people, patterns, behaviors, etc. Um, and from that video, I actually got a lot of feedback from people. So thank you for sharing your stories of what you're going through and also just your encouragement for me to be making these videos. Somebody asked me to answer this question, and they asked, why do you think it's so hard to loosen our mental grip on painful past situations, even when we've been working through them so diligently? Turn that off. And the answer to that question is I can only speak from my own experience, from my own truth. I don't really know the answer to that, but I'm just going to share with you what I came up with. I think it's difficult to move out of past situations that are painful and patterns that are painful, or these mental loops we get ourselves in, because it's comfortable. Like, moving through that means that you really have to sit with that pain and release it, which means you really have to feel it. And feeling pain sucks, right? Nobody wants to have to do that. But that's just part of the human experience, isn't it? Yeah, you really have to sit with it and go through it. And it's comfortable because when we move out of those situations, it means moving in uncharted territory that we haven't been in before. So it's really easy to stay in that comfort zone of, for example, let's go with relationships. You just keep dating people who are dishonest, who cheat on you, but you just keep attracting the same people. But it's also because you're not allowing yourself to move past that. You're continuing to attract the same people to learn lessons. But I don't really want to go with this example, actually. Let's just continue. So I also wrote that until you really sit with your pain, you're just going to keep experiencing it outwardly. It's going to keep appearing. So those relationships, right? Until you really sit with those wounds of why you keep attracting people like that. Maybe it's because you grew up in an environment where people were really dishonest with you, and that's what you associate love with, right? Like, people are just dishonest and you just have to keep like trying harder and being a better person, and then this person will be a better person. But the truth is, we can't control other people. We can only control ourselves and how we think about situations and how we feel about situations. We can try to even cover it up with substances, right? Drinking, partying, distractions, but that's just a Band-Aid. It's really, really easy to avoid the shit you need to deal with because there's so much going on in the world. There's so many parties. There's so many events to go to. There's so many distractions. There's so much feed to scroll through on your Instagram. But until you really sit with it, you're just going to keep experiencing the same shit over and over and over and over again. And that gets really frustrating. I know I get stuck in mental loops, and it's really frustrating. So also, how do you move through it, right? So we sit with it. Our society is not really comfortable with feelings. Our society growing up has really shown me that feelings equal vulnerability, which equals weakness. But actually, being able to be vulnerable with yourself and vulnerable with your fragile human existence is really fucking powerful and really strong. To avoid feelings and to act like you don't have any, I think is weakness. I think it's a cover up, it's a mask to avoid dealing with your shit. And we're all guilty of it, right? I'm not perfect. So, how do you move through that? Well, you set boundaries. You set boundaries for yourself. If you notice that talking to the same person is just continuing this cycle of this negative loop, or you keep feeling hurt all the time by this specific situation or experience, person, pattern, whatever, you are the one who has to set that clear boundary that you're not going to accept that anymore. You have to, if that phone rings and it's that person, you have to muster up the willpower to not answer that phone call. If partying all the time, you just, at the end of the night each time or the next morning, you're just like, God damn it, like, I'm not getting my shit done because I keep doing this. You are the one who has to make that change. You are the one who has to set that boundary, that when all your friends are hitting you up to go out, you are the one that has to say, no, I'm sorry, I got shit to do tomorrow, I can't do that. And it's interesting, also going off a little bit, that when you start to really take control of your life, or you really start to want to take care of yourself, and that self-care is now a priority, it's really interesting to see which friends will stay by your side and which friends will leave. When I personally stopped partying all the time and, you know, just making my mental health a priority, I definitely lost friends. I definitely did. But it just showed me that those friendships were superficial. They were just, I could just party with them, right? But when it comes down to it, when I'm on my knees crying my fucking eyes out because of a painful thing or just like whatever, they weren't going to be by my side. They're just like, no, let's just drink and take shots of tequila. And it's like, yeah, I love tequila, but I love support. I need support from my friends. So yeah, setting boundaries. I'm a writer, so I really like to journal. I like to write down, ask myself questions. What's holding me back? What boundaries do I need to set? And then it's clear, it's right there. It's also really helpful to put that shit on a post-it note and put that in your bathroom, on the mirror, or wherever you're going to see it every day, to really just affirm and remind yourself that this is something that's important to you. And also about the whole friend thing too, that when you start like putting yourself as a priority, that you will lose people, because that's just what happens. You'll also gain the right people. The universe always provides. When you start thinking certain things are important, the universe is going to respond to that. We all respond to vibration and frequency, right? That's literally life. Vibration and frequency is like the answer to everything. So when you start vibrating on this level of caring for yourself, the people who are not doing that are going to be going down a different path. But you're going to align with people who are on the same path. And that's what you really need. And that takes courage and bravery to move through that and to get to that place. So also how, going back to why it's easy to stay stuck in the same cycles even if they're painful, it's because we have to come up with innovative new ways to like change that. Like, if you're always thinking this way, that people are deceitful, you're always going to think that, and you're going to keep attracting that. And it takes a new mindset to get through that. And I mean, that's difficult, right? I mean, that's not always easy to think in a new way. Have you ever heard of neuroplasticity? It's like scientifically proven that you can create neural pathways in your brain, right? So these patterns that you keep continuing are just neural pathways. So if you keep waking up at 6 a.m. every day, your brain's going to get used to that. They're going to keep waking up at 6 a.m. That's just the normal wake up time. If every time someone says they love you and you're like, oh God, you're just going to create that neural pathway that if that's a trigger now. Every time that someone says they love you, you're just like turned off. If every time You know what I mean? Like you just actually have so much control over your brain, but it takes commitment. It takes dedication to that. Um, takes self love. There's a lot of people in the world who benefit from you not loving yourself and not setting those boundaries. Um, and that's just the truth. We have to take care of ourselves. So let's see. I'm a writer, so I write everything down more than make videos. So I'm reading my notes right now. Um, Also, moving through painful situations, I think, takes a lot of forgiveness. I think it takes a lot of really being deeply honest with yourself um, about what part you played in it, or just forgiving yourself for the choices that you've made. If you're wronging other people or hurting other people, I think it's really important to like genuinely apologize and genuinely stand in yourself and be like, wow, I fucked up and I hurt this person because of that. And I need to now forgive myself. But also, I think it's important to check on that person. Um, and they may not forgive you, but that's your karma, isn't it? Um, so let's see what else I have. Also, when you find yourself in that same mental loop, right, that's unhealthy for you, or the same emotional things that keep coming up, I think it's really important to create a new narrative, to create a new story. So every person just is dishonest, every person's just out there to get me. It's no, I trust myself to attract people who are honest. I am honest, so I'm going to attract honest people. Um, it is true that even if you're like the most pure person in the world, you're gonna attract the opposite. You're going to attract people who just want to take from you. But again, that comes down to setting firm boundaries, knowing what those boundaries are, um, and loving yourself, trusting in yourself to make good decisions. Um, So, yeah, ways you can write that new narrative is to write it out, sing it out, dance it out. I'm I use creative avenues. Um, and again, it's really easy for us to get stuck in this like victim mentality of like everyone's out to get me. I always just attract the same things. I do it. Um, and you get support from that. There's people who are like, God, you're so right. Um, but then you get stuck on that plane, right? And once you try to move out of that, if people want to remain stuck on that plane, that's who you're gonna lose. And you have to be brave and trust yourself and be able to stand alone until you really attract the right situations, the right experiences, the right people. The universe will provide. I want you to think about every experience, any job you've ever left because it just wasn't serving you anymore. It was like sucking the life out of you. Um, I 95% of the time, 99, maybe 100% of the time, your next job, if you really stayed true to what your heart really wanted, I guarantee that next job was better. I guarantee any relationship you've ever left that was unhealthy, I guarantee if you were doing your work and making those changes for a better relationship, that the universe provided that better relationship. I mean, tell me I'm wrong. Every relationship I've ever left because it wasn't serving me, a new partner that came in my life was always better. Same with jobs, same with homes, same with cars. Like, I mean, those are all kind of material things. But yeah. So I hope that answered that question. Like I said, I can only speak from my own experience. I don't have all the answers in the world, but I really want to thank you for asking that question because it really made me think. Um, and really, actually, I wrote down certain boundaries that I really need to and want to continue creating for myself for a healthier life. Um, so, yeah, if anyone has any questions or feels like they want to reach out, um, I possibly could have some insight for you or some tools for you to help you move forward into making better decisions in your life that are going to tap you into your highest path, so you can be the best that you can be. So, yeah, thank you for watching. See ya!